heck is happening in our industry, in our business? Why is our number different and drastically different?
Why is there so much ick around sales in our industry? We all know it's there. Instead of just living with the elephant in the room, it's like, how do we address it?
How can I get better for my clients? How can I learn more about this? Like, what are we doing to gain a deeper understanding and to learn more about people, to learn more about what our customers are looking for?
Welcome back, my friends, to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I am your host, Ambrosia Carey, where we talk about all things business, finance, and marketing in the hairstyling world. Today, I have one of my girlfriends with me, hanging out, sharing some knowledge, and actually just talking about passion projects, how they get started, and where they move from there. Kristie and I actually met, I'm trying to actually remember where we met through Salon Scale, I believe, years ago. And although we both have been in and out of the salon, between salon ownership, taking care of clients, and teaching classes, independent classes, the list goes on. I would really love to hear more about your story. So welcome to the SSA podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. And I think, even though we've talked through Instagram, we've talked a little bit like briefly in person, I feel like we live kind of parallel universes in a lot of ways. And I love that you have taken a problem that has been multiplied and has been magnified over the last really, I guess for me, notably the last decade in our industry. Mm-hmm. And you've been able to really come up with some fast and easy solutions that are tangible. And even though I have not personally taken a class of yours, standing from afar, I can see what you're doing. So I would love to just maybe get started by warming everyone up and telling a little bit about your background within the industry. And we'll just kind of move it from there.
Sounds good. How far back do you want me to go? It's a long
Since the dawn
story.
of time.
I think retail for me in the salon has always been a really, really big part of my journey. And I've been, behind the chair for almost 25, I'm coming up on 25 years. That really makes me feel pretty old and ancient, but 25 years behind the chair, 18 years in salon ownership and management and that corner of the world. And I realized in this last couple of years, one, how much salon retail has shifted and changed, and really just it's wildly different than it used to be. And that was the first thing that I noticed. And the second thing that I noticed was that we were doing it a little bit differently. So digging a little bit deeper into the numbers, digging a little bit deeper into like what was actually happening in our industry, that the industry average being like 12%, and we were hitting like 70, 80, 90. Even our highest month was like just shy of 100%. It was like 99.4 retail to service in our salon. Wow. So I was like, what the heck is happening in our industry, in our business? Why is our number different and drastically different? And then it just like, I just was like, how can I help people with this? How can I share what we're doing? To me, it didn't really seem like anything that was very different or unique, but the numbers showed that it was. So I stepped out of my comfort zone. I developed a program. Some of my salon owner friends were like, hey, can you help me? Can you help my salon team? Can you jump on a Zoom call with us? Can you come in and share some of what you do? And that just led me to developing a full program for it. And now over the last 18 months, it's just evolved and changed. And now also kind of like changed the trajectory and my salon business model to kind of adapt to spending more time in that corner of the business. So it's been a really wild, kind of a crazy journey and evolution. And it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been but painful. I'll say it's been a little bit painful, but it's been so neat. And it's been really, really cool to just connect with other salon owners, because I think that that's definitely something that really lacks in our business and it isn't kind of the norm. So it's given me that gift of just being able to share with other people, to be able to help them to grow, and just to be able to connect in a different way. So that's kind of the long story long, I guess you could say, but
I think what's really cool to hear about that is that oftentimes I think when others want to be helpful in the industry, they want to make it into something that is bigger than it actually is. So I think taking a very specific problem that people were already coming to you for and asking for
Yeah.
support or help in, it was easy for you to see exactly what the huge pain point was. And what is remarkable to me though is that it didn't start with people reaching out to you. It was more that you actually noticed that there was a drastic gap that needed to be bridged between the average and between your world. So it's really cool. So tell me a little bit about how that shifted for you, because first you see that there's a gap and then did you start teaching about it, or were you just talking about it nonchalantly on Instagram and then it kind of developed into the program?
Uh, no, it didn't start on Instagram. It started just with like other local salon owners and them just saying like, "Hey, can you help my team because you're doing this differently?" I was actually like, to be honest, pretty scared to bring it out into the world of Instagram and to actually publicly talk about it.
Interesting.
Um, because I guess, I mean, to be a human, I was just scared of judgment,
Yeah.
scared of like what people were going to think about it. Also, I think like being a bit nervous of how my clients would perceive me stepping out in a different way too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I could see that.
when I'm teaching people how, essentially, like what I do is I teach hairdressers how to sell. That's what
Hmm.
I do.
Yeah.
So I was a bit concerned and worried about like the perception because I'm still behind the chair.
Yeah.
So I was like, how is this going to link together and how is this going to translate to my customers and to my clients and also to my team? And because we were just in the groove, we were just doing our thing.
Right. Yeah.
So there was a method to the madness, but at the same time, um, I was like, do I share this method?
Right. Yeah.
Do I just keep it here in like our little corner of the world? So I think that was kind of the biggest thing was that I was worried about like actually bringing it out into there. And I think still, again, like to be human, I still find a bit of a like it feels a bit sticky for me on how to connect those two and how to kind of bridge them together because they do feel like very different worlds, but they really are the same. So it that's where it started was just people asking me for help and then it kind of developed and built into what it is. So
How have you
it's
seen major changes just between the time that you first started helping others to growing and even just shifting the format of your classes? Like, what are some of the big things that kind of stand out to you between the time that you started and how it's developed and continues to kind of build upon that?
the biggest thing that stands out to me is the story that we've started to tell ourselves in our business. I think for so many stylists, it has grown into this huge story that our clients don't want it. Um, they're buying it everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's been so enlightening to just like be in because now there's been 500 stylists that I've spent time with and gone through this material with and just realizing like how much that has changed because we are in a service industry and we are in what I believe to be like in sales. Hairdressing is sales, but
Right.
we've told ourselves this story that it is absolutely not, and we've pulled ourselves so far away from that that now it's almost like a little bit tough to come back to it. And so that's what I think realized the most is that we've just been telling ourselves this crazy story. And when we actually get into and step into that role of educating our clients and actually like, selling them the products, they love it. They want it. That's the reviews that come in at my salon. That's a lot of what our reviews are speaking about is the recommendations and the product lines and the education from the stylist. But it's become this wild story
Hmm.
that I think has affected our results so greatly that now it's a bit hard to come back.
What do you think
Um,
it is that gets in the way of, or where does that ick come from? Like, why is there so much ick around sales in our industry? Because it's like, I think we all know it's there, but it's like, instead of just living with the elephant in the room, it's like, how do we address it?
yeah, and the ick is a real thing. Like in every single class, the same thing comes up. It doesn't matter if I'm in Canada, if I'm in the US, if I'm East, West, wherever it is, when I ask people how they actually feel about that, it's always that they feel pushy, they feel awkward, they feel weird, they feel like a car salesman. It's the same story all the time. And I think that that really just comes from just like a belief that we've that we have built. I actually don't even think it's real. I think it's something that we have just created. And I think it just comes from not having the skills or not connecting the dots with how to kind of deliver that information and how to bring everything together.
Hmm.
Because the retail is such a massive part of the salon business. Like we can't do our jobs without it.
Hmm.
And you walk into each salon, it's always the same setup at the front of every single salon that you walk into. What's at the front? It's the retail.
Right.
Sitting down at the stations, at the chairs, the retail. Go to the backwash, the products. Like it's a part of every piece and every corner and every nook and cranny of the journey. And then we get to the front at the end and we make shit weird. Like we make it weird because we've got all of these stories that are drummed up in our minds, and then we create that ick. And I think it just comes from like maybe one, not having the skills, not having the actual tangible systems to use, and then also just what's up in our heads. We just create it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so interesting. I'm fascinated by it.
I think it's fascinating too. That's why I like having this open discussion about it, because if we were to kind of break this apart, because it sounds to me like there are several main issues that are blanketing this one exact problem. And
Yeah.
it's that we want to service our clients, and we are generally people pleasers getting into this industry. And we almost get a little too far ahead that selling something means that there's a likability thing there, that if we get rejected, then that we personally are being rejected, or that they won't like us, or that they will
Hmm.
think that we are taking advantage of them. And there's so many like psychological parts to it. And so I guess if we were just to only focus on the mindset side of it right now, what are
Yep.
some of the things that have come up in the classes that you've taught, or even the stylists that you've talked to, maybe even salon owners? Because sometimes I think it starts at a leadership part. Um,
Hmm.
where have you found some of the mindset inner workings that have helped people correct that behavior, or look at it through a different lens, or flip the coin over? Like, what are some things that
Hmm.
are coming up?
Oh gosh, I love this corner of it so much. So what we talk about in the classes a lot is how that repulsive sales feeling um, comes from somebody trying to take something from us.
Mm.
So that's where we get that really repulsive feeling is you go to purchase something and you feel like somebody's just after the commission, they're just after that buck.
Mhm.
And so that's where that repulsive feeling, that's just a human interaction thing that's where it comes from. But if we really break it down and we really look at like what are we doing with selling our clients these products, we're not trying to sell them something that they don't need. Everybody's using shampoo, everybody's using styling products. Like
Right.
they're all using it. We just want them to use what we have because we believe in it. And when we do believe in it, it's a lot easier to sell, that's for sure. But it's got to come from a place of, I like to say, care versus commission.
Hmm.
So if we're listening to our clients, if we're hearing their problems, if we're listening to what they want to have happen with their hair, it's going to come from a place of care, not from the place of commission. And the commission and what we earn from it is just the result and just the residual of actually helping people along the way. So it's got to start there. But I think that we just kind of shoot ourselves too far forward, and we're kind of working our way backwards. But when we start with the recommendations through the consultation, through the service, and we really focus on serving our customers, it's a very, very different result. And so that's kind of a prickly point, is just to realize like it's not about us. It's like none of this has to do with us. And we see our clients for a couple hours every few months, but what's happening in between and how they're caring for their hair at home is really the brunt of the result. So
Yeah.
working together with our clients and having it be more of a partnership instead of just being like, okay, I'm going to do your hair for this couple hours and then send you off on your way to try and figure out the rest on your own. it doesn't really make sense. So when we break it down and we kind of build this really beautiful partnership, we give them recommendations because we know what they need to be using.
Yeah.
We know that like
Or
if I'm
hopefully
going
we
to cut
do.
my hair, yeah, exactly, right? If I'm going to cut my hair from like long into a bob, I'm going to need different things to style it. I'm going to need different things to get different results. So just kind of like working it almost the opposite direction, I think is what's really where it creates that shift. And all of a sudden stylists are like, oh my gosh, like what have I even been doing? And there are so many different pieces in that um, customer experience that if we just tweak these little things, it creates a whole other result.
When you say care versus commission, I think of, well, kind of what you said, like you're focusing on the care of the hair and getting to the result with the added tools that actually help you get there. But I also think of the mindset of how the stylist is truly focusing on how this client can be most successful at home and um, using this care and treating the hair as if they themselves are the stylist, that they can repeat it and make it
Mm-hmm.
something that takes out the overwhelm. And I also heard you say that talking about it during the consultation, which is also something that I've seen a major shift in, because I think psychologically the client, once you finish the service, they've
Mm-hmm.
already like left the building before the
Yeah.
cape is off. Like they are
Mm-hmm.
not going to be as receptive to hearing or understanding something as the very beginning, when you actually start
Yes.
talking about it, relating it to a change, a problem, end result. So I like that you kind of use that as a framework, like focusing on the care, not on the commission side of things. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think when we do associate commission, that's when we use the word sales. That's when we think of the end result of the product exchange. And then that's what it feels like as an exchange. So
Totally.
I love that mindset shift. So the other thing I think that you kind of mentioned on a little bit, and I'm going to botch up the word, but I heard you when you were saying that aside from the mindset side of it, it's also just being able to make a better connection or a relationship with the product itself, like really understanding the product and knowing it and loving the product. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes not educating ourselves enough on what the properties are of the product, what are the main ingredients, what are the benefits and features of that product, over why would you choose this mousse over that mousse, and really knowing why you love that piece. It's a transfer of energy. Like when you like something so
Yes.
much that you're recommending it, is because you really truly believe in it, not because you're like, this is a mousse and this is what it
Exactly.
does. You can get any mousse, really. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not attached to it. It's just what I happen to carry. And if you want to pay me some money, I will hand this mousse to you and you can take it home. So I like that you've touched on that, and you said it in a more beautiful, eloquent way. But that's what I hear oftentimes too, is that if you don't know the product well enough, it's going to be really hard to sell
Yes.
that product to somebody and to even talk about the product and relate that product specifically to the the goal that you both are working toward. So I
Yeah.
think the other thing that you said that I think is really important, and I just really want to echo this, is the fact that you really focus on, you only get this limited time exchange with your client and you only get to see them a couple of times a year, like 6 to 7 times a year at best. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to want to make impact with them, it's not going to happen in those couple hour increments that you only get to see them spread throughout the year. It's going to happen with what they're doing at home. It's like that
Yeah.
maintenance, if you have a car and you're only putting gas in it, like you don't want to wait until your car is coasting onto the sidelines and you have to bring out your gas can in the trunk. You actually want to pay attention to where
Yes.
that's the reason why we have a gauge. So it's like being able to instruct clients on how they can take better care of their hair. It allows the work to stand out longer. And it always relates back to what the client's needs are
Mm-hmm.
between to make it successful between the times they leave and the time they come back to see you. So
Absolutely.
I also think that there's like a huge portion of that really is what makes a stylist irreplaceable. I mean, if we really
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about how you form better, longer lasting, stronger relationships with the client and
Yeah.
building a sustainable business, that is such a key element with it. And I think that that's something that doesn't really get touched on enough. So
Yeah.
if we were to start from the very beginning, as we all do when we go to beauty school, and we don't really learn these things when we're in beauty school. If you could wave a magic
No.
wand, what at what point do you think in that journey is it going to be most impactful for the stylist? Would it be not just learning it in beauty school, or would it be more during the journey of the interview process when they're looking for a salon? Like, what do they look for in a mentor, or what do they look for when they're in the hiring process? I think that those are all things that kind of help to hold somebody both accountable and keep
Hmm.
them informed and also like nurture them so they can gain the confidence. So otherwise they'll have a failure to launch, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that's kind of a missing piece for a lot of stylists right now. And I think that, you know, creates a lot of movement because I think that stylists are looking for something, but they don't know what it is that they're looking for. And all of those pieces are so important. Like you can't, we can't take one out, but it's almost like each one is kind of like has a missing piece. So the puzzle isn't finished because there is that little bit of a missing something, right? And I think that it definitely needs to start in beauty school. It has to start. There has to be somehow a little bit more development in the soft skills because I mean, let's be real. Like anybody can do a set of foils. Anybody can do a retouch. Different levels, different skills, different ways of doing things. We all have our own unique style, which I think is one of the most beautiful things about this industry. But retail builds trust. And when you build trust, you're going to build a different career. You're going to build a different foundation. You're going to build a different relationship. You're going to really kind of like set the stage for what that career is going to look like. And I mean, I do have some clients that have been choosing to sit in my chair since day one, but that clientele has evolved so many times and changed and shifted and, you know, burnt to the ground and come back up. And
Mhm.
so we've got to learn how to be able to recreate our clientele and our business behind the chair as we're recreating ourselves. Like I'm not the same
Yeah.
person as I was 10 years ago. So
Right.
as we change and grow, we've got to be able to rebuild that. So I really do think those soft skills have to start in school. They have to be a part of the mentorship after, which I think is a very, very important piece of the puzzle. That's the way I've been doing things in my salon company for the last 10 years is training right from the day they come out of school and having an apprenticeship program after. I think that that's so important. And then with retail, as these stylists are looking for a home, I think that, you know, the retail has to be an important piece because it's got to line up with your core values. It's got to line up with, and that's why we have the opportunity to work with so many different brands in our business, right? They all have different core values, different things that are
Right.
important to them. And
Yeah.
when you connect your own personal core values with your ideal client's core values and the, you know, the path that you want to go on and all of those things connect, it just is going to flow in a really beautiful way. I think that's why a lot of people struggle is because they haven't connected all those things. So the dots are kind of all over the place and they're up and they're down and they're over here and they're over there. And so we've got to kind of like bring all of those pieces together. And I really do believe that the retail sometimes gets left out. It's just like, oh, it's just shampoo or it's just this. But I
Yeah.
think it's so much deeper than that. I truly have just become so obsessed with this because it's deeply rooted. It's a big piece of it. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but I kind of went off on a little bit of a soapbox there. But um, it's the retail's got to be a piece of the journey, and
Agreed.
when it is, it's a much different, I think, evolution for sure.
You said something earlier that I think is I like to call it the bumper sticker quote. Like retail is builds trust. Retail
It
builds
does.
trust. I think sometimes we forget about some of the parts of what builds trust in a relationship. And if we
Mhm.
remove hair entirely, if we remove the technical side of hair entirely, and we only focus on how you build a really great friendship or a really great relationship, and you remove the technical sides from it, then it really it makes it a lot easier to focus on those touch points, because then you're really making it about that person and you're making them feel seen and heard. And what's really interesting about being seen and heard is just learning the art of repeating back to somebody what they've said, because they feel as though
Yes.
they've been heard because you're repeating it back to them. It's like such a simple thing, but I
It
think
is.
sometimes it can get a little lost, because I think the stylist, the average stylist, and I can speak for this because I've been doing hair behind the chair for 25 years, that we get into the service side. Like it's, when I was
Mhm.
mentioning psychologically, when you pull the cape off, the client is psychologically, she's out of the building. But when
Yeah.
you are a stylist, as soon as they sit down and you start getting into the mode of doing hair, psychologically, you're already putting the hair in the foil or painting the retouch on before you even grabbed it, because you're already in the service side. So I think
Yeah.
maybe taking a small step back and saying to yourself, what are we missing here that we already know what she's scheduled for? We have this allotted time. And from instead of me being concerned that I'm not going to be on time or that I am going to fall behind on time, what are some things that I can do that might set us up for a different type of a relationship, but also opening up a conversation for other opportunities. And opportunities, I feel like that's like a loose term that's been overused in our
Mhm.
industry also. But when I think of opportunities, I think about how can you grow with your client in the future. There might be some things that would really surprise you if you gave yourself the extra 2 minutes to have that conversation. In the perfect world, if they could change their hair, if there's something they've been dying to do, if there's a special occasion coming up, if there's like a big change that they've been scared to do, if there's something that in the past they've seen another stylist that maybe they were or were not doing that wasn't shared with you. Because every time a client comes in to see you, that is an opportunity. They chose to see you of all the hundreds of salons in your certain block radius.
Mhm.
They're coming to you, but they also left someone else to come to you
Mhm.
for a reason. So I think it's
Ooh.
just like we miss those things. So I guess going back to what we were originally talking about, which is in the beauty school. In the beauty schools, if we're not getting that type of highlighted education, which I would
Mhm.
say the average beauty school right now, they don't play a lot of emphasis on it. They're really kind of
Yeah.
focusing on safety and sanitation, getting the technical stuff so they can check the boxes and move them through the programs. So if that's not happening, what are some small tangible things that the hairstylist slash student in beauty school could start doing, or maybe even just think about, if they don't have that mentor, they don't have somebody there to support that?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, the beautiful thing about how social media and the internet has evolved is that there's so much information that's available to us. Sometimes I would say almost too much because it can be a little bit overwhelming,
Yeah.
but there are so many incredible resources and places to learn and to keep growing. And I think that would probably be my recommendation is to realize that like it's a self evolution just as much as it is like a technical evolution. Like you've got to keep learning. I think in our business, like how to understand people, how to communicate, how to have conversations that are maybe sometimes a little bit prickly and don't, um, that are a little bit challenging. Like it's there are so many available resources, and
Yeah.
you've also got to like do that kind of self exploration and digging a little bit too, because we are in the business of people, and technology has really brought us to this weird point where like we communicate less, but in our business we need to communicate more.
Yeah.
And I loved, like, just to kind of echo what you were saying too about the opportunity, like if you think about a consultation with a client, they're going to sit down and they're going to say, my hair is feeling dry or my color's fading or my roots are feeling like they're always oily or I can't grow my hair or I can't style it this way or I can't do that. And even just how you had said too, like we're already jumping into the foils, but that little piece of the conversation, like if we just slow down and just listen a little bit deeper, that's the opportunity right there. So I think, yeah, just working on those listening skills even more,
Mhm.
finding educators who are really specializing in those areas to kind of teach a little bit more of those skills. We've got to learn those soft skills as well as the technical skills. I think they have to go hand in hand. Otherwise, um, it's not going to be as strong of a foundation. Um, yeah, there's so much more. There's just this business,
Yeah,
there's so much more than just the foils, just the
I
the
know.
cuts. Like oh, I could go on for hours about it, but um, yeah, just really, I would say diving almost deeper into those skills because you can give a great haircut, but if you're not communicating well with somebody, the chances of them staying with you are far smaller than if they felt listened to, if they felt heard. It's one of the number one reasons that people leave their stylist and come to another stylist and they sit down and they say, "Oh, she just didn't listen to me."
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, we've heard that a lot. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So we've got to take those cues and be like, okay, if
Yeah,
this is what people are saying to us, how can we get better in that
right.
area? If we get a negative review or a not so positive review that's not a 5 star, what does that tell us and how can we learn from that? Like
Yes.
life is a mirror, not a window. So instead of always looking outside and being like, oh, what's happening out here? We've got to kind of come inward a little bit more and be like, how can I get better for my clients? How can I learn more about this? It's not looking on the outside. And I find that in this business, we're really quick to just, oh, well, it's the economy, it's this, it's that, it's that, it's that, it's that. But like, what are we doing to gain a deeper understanding and to learn more about people, to learn more about what our customers are looking for? And I think I'll come back to this again, but like it comes back to the retail and the service, like and the actual hair service together. When we put those two together, it's a whole other thing. So yeah, just kind of bridging those
It's another bumper sticker
huge.
quote. Life is a mirror, not a window. I love that. That's beautiful, and it's so true because I think it's really easy for us to lose focus or to maybe focus on the wrong thing, perhaps. And so, the word evolution, you said that word, and I am a big fan of that word, and I think it's such an important thing because I believe since we are now in a phase of life that it's almost impossible not to see the highlights of everyone's lives because that's kind of what
Hmm.
we're surrounded by. Life is so busy. We've got a lot of noise. We've got
Yeah.
lots of platforms. We have less and less time. Our attention spans are shrinking. Our worlds are
Yeah.
shrinking, all this stuff. So, with that, I think knowing that there's an evolution, being able to just focus on the lane that you're in and how can you get just like a small sliver better at something. And so I think
Hmm.
knowing that there's an evolution is freeing in some ways because there could be something that you're really excited about right now and you don't have to be really great at 10 things. You can just get really great at the 3 things and
Yeah.
really understand it like the back of your hand because that's also what gains confidence. But the retail side of it, when you're using retail to support it, that's what finishes the story. It kind of like
Hmm.
creates the rest of the piece that's missing a little bit because it's almost like that gets to help support you. And how many times do we have a client in our chair just saying, I wish I could take you home with me? Or like, they
Hmm.
make jokes like that, but it's like, well, you can, and it's called this. It's in a bottle, and
Exactly.
let me show you how to
Yes.
use it. And this is what it. And I think there are parts of it that we can actually add and inject our personality into it and have fun with it too.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes playing and being creative and allowing ourselves to do the very thing that maybe even invited us into the industry to begin with, we need to service people through retail in that way too. And that
Yes.
takes, I think, the weight of the outcome out of it. And it's more just the discovery, curiosity process of it too. So that's why I
Hmm.
like the word evolution so much. When you're training stylists or when you're recommending just like a couple of things on how to get rid of the overwhelm,
Hmm.
aside from the mindset side. So we kind of like highlighted some of the mindset stuff. Now maybe we can switch into like some tangible things,
Mhm.
just one-liners, or how are you a fan of scripts? Do you think scripts help stylists too? Like, what is your philosophy with that?
I think they do help immensely. I mean, we have processes and procedures for how we do so many different parts of our business, and we have to have that for our retail as well. Um, I have a couple different systems that I like to use in scripts. The way that I like to think about it is this. So there's kind of four pieces to it. So the first one is that you've got to captivate your clients. You've got to grab their attention, and really like get them interested in what you're saying. The second is you want to fascinate them with things that we know that they
Mhm.
probably don't know. The next piece of that is that we have to educate them. So when we're educating them, it's like you said, I wish I could take you home with me, but we can teach them how to use the products in a very similar way that we can do. Is it going to be the same? No, it's never going to be exactly the same as the way that we do it. That's why we
Right.
get paid to do what we're doing, right? But we can pass along that information and educate them so that they feel empowered to be able to recreate it to some degree in their own way at home. And that brings the close. So captivate, fascinate, educate, and close. So when we've got all of those different pieces, people are, you know, when they're captivated, they're going to care what we're saying to them. So teaching them what we know and sharing the knowledge. Maybe it's ingredients that what's most important to them. If it's the ingredients, they're going to want to hear about the ingredients. When we
Hmm.
get to know what's important to people, we can kind of reflect that back. Um, but the education piece of it is, I think, really important. And that's such an easy part that we sometimes leave out because we get talking about the weather, we get talking about politics, we get talking about everything else that's happening in the world
Yeah.
aside from what people are there for.
Right.
They're there for their hair.
Hmm.
They want us to, yes, they want to get their hair done. They're there for that cut and color. They're there for that, you know, even just a blowout. They're there for their hair, but they're also there because they want us to share what we know with them.
Right. Yeah.
And so stepping up as that professional and sharing that knowledge, so if we think about it too, like some clients could be shampooing their hair in a way that would help them even more and be more effective. So, but we know all of these things and we take for granted the fact that our clients know it as well. How to apply dry shampoo, how to properly shampoo your hair, what type of, what's the difference between this conditioner and a mask? What's different from this to that? So, all of those pieces, when we're talking about systems, need to be incorporated into the service.
Hmm.
Those are the first four. The second four that go along with that, I like to look at it as, they need to know what we're using, why we chose that for them. It's a real bad habit to reach for the same three or four products every single time that we're doing somebody's hair because every single head of hair is different. So if we're
Yeah.
reaching for the same five and we've got every different type of hair and every different color, I think that's kind of like that's a me thing. I'm not focused on the client. So they need to know what it is. They need to know why we chose that specific product for them, right? Because if you think about a big retail wall, but I reach for one product specifically for that client, that's going to make them feel special. And people want to feel special. They need to know how to use it. And then they need to know why they're going to love it. Because that's the feeling and that love, that's what really connects it to the sale. And when all of those pieces are incorporated, it just kind of sells itself. But using those foundations to kind of move through that, I think it'll change the game. When people use that, I used to write those things on the palm of my hand too, just to remind myself, like cover this, cover this, cover this, cover this.
Uh-huh.
And usually if the sale is not happening, one of those pieces is missing. It's the coolest thing ever. And you start to pinpoint it and you're like, oh, okay, I forgot this piece. Oh, I forgot this. And that's what they need. They need all that information to be able to make the decision if they're going to purchase or not. So definitely it needs systems. Just like anything else in life, it's got to have a way to do it. It can't just be all over the place because otherwise we just kind of talk ourselves out of it. So interesting.
I know. I love a good, efficient, tangible short list. Like, I think
Yes.
I love that you broke it down into those four easy steps. I think that those are something that is also easy for a stylist to remember. And it's
Mhm.
just enough to maybe slow down a little bit and focus on each one of those key pieces throughout the service.
Yeah.
I, if you don't mind, if we could talk a little bit about salon ownership for just a second, because salon owner to
Yeah.
salon owner, most salons, I think probably all salons, I would venture to guess all salons, it's actually impossible to have all high performers. So if you have someone who is just struggling a little bit with selling retail, or there something is getting in their way, and even through all the knowledge, and let's say they're stronger in other avenues, but with retail specifically, they just have some sort of a block, and they don't know what that block might be. They don't know what the barricade is. You've given all the information, you've supported them, and they're still very low performing in those indicators. How do you work with that person? How are you able to kind of help them restructure perhaps their mindset, or the way they're approaching it, or when they're approaching it? Have you found anything that has really kind of helped that particular type of stylist?
I think, yes, definitely. Two things. The first would be to really kind of break into the why. Like um, why do you think your clients are purchasing? To really like understand maybe some of the stories and what I like to call the head trash. Like what's sitting up there, and what are the excuses that you're telling yourself of why your clients aren't purchasing from you.
Mm-hmm.
So really like figuring out and getting into that a teeny little bit, because that's really the root of it. That's usually where it starts. The second thing is to really incorporate that script. So, what it is, why you're recommending it, how to use it, and what they're going to love most about it, the WWHL. And because a lot of times what happens is stylists will get nervous, they feel awkward, they feel pushy. So they kind of we get in our own head, and we start to almost like like selling past the sold, right? So we don't have a format to use, so we just chase our tails and just run around and get into this crazy thing of like, oh, like my friend's neighbor's dog loves to use this on their hair, right? And we sell past the sold when it really is just these four key pieces that the client needs to know.
Mm.
Um, and I always have kind of run with this with my team in the past, is to always coach to the habits, not to the numbers. I've had many stylists on my team that were like, "Oh, I could never hit that target." Like our target on our team was always a 40% RTS. And I've had people join my team from other teams that were like, "I'm at like 10%. I will never be able to hit that." And I've always said, "I will coach you to the habits, not to the numbers, because the habits is what produces the numbers." So if you're doing a consultation, if you're touching on the products all the way through, so in the consultation, at the backwash, just like, here's what I'm using, here's why I chose this for you, nice and tidy, moving on to the next. It doesn't have to be this crazy long drawn out story, because really, like, we're just explaining what we're using, and
Yeah.
if that hits the pain point of the client, they're going to want to take it home with them. If it's going to solve their problem, that's all that retail is just solving people's problems.
Hmm.
Every single bottle that lives on that shelf is just solving a specific problem. So when you hear people's problems, when you use all of those touch points, the habits is what's going to bring the sales. So I think that's the main piece of it. Just figuring out the mindset first, and then kind of like what that looks like and what that structure looks like.
Is there a certain amount of time that you like to focus on ongoing PK, like X amount of times a year? And if so, is that different for the salon structure, like commission versus hybrid versus independent?
Interesting. I've always run a commission-based salon. I'm now kind of like moving into a new structure and a new format, but for 18 years, it was always commission-based.
Hmm.
I remember being at an event when I don't know, this was probably like 15 years ago, and Gino Stampora said, never let your team tell you that they're not selling retail because they haven't had PK. And that stuck to me like glue. Like that has followed me around for now like 15, 16, 17, 18 years. And it's important, but it's not the main thing because you can pick up a bottle of anything and it will tell you exactly how to use it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have a little bit. Realistically, we're only going to retain 30%, 20 to 30% of what we learn in a product knowledge class. So you can sit with an educator for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. You're not going to hold on to everything.
Yeah.
Um, a system that I use with my associates that was really successful is I would tell them to every day pick up 2 or 3 products, learn something about it. Then use those products on everyone, get to know them, get to like learn, use them on yourself, and use everything that the line has to offer. But that was interesting because then they would kind of pick away at it like 1%, 1%, 1%, and then they would learn, every line. And at one point we had 11 brands in our salon. So our team was
Wow.
like, they had to put in the time with learning about things, or else it wouldn't sell. But I think product knowledge it's a small, teeny piece of the pie. It's not for somebody to say, oh, I'm not selling it because I haven't had product knowledge. I don't know. I'll run with Gino on that one and I'll say, like, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. it's just a teeny little piece of it.
Yeah.
Definitely it's a part of it, but not as much as some people would think that it would be.
Yeah. These days, we're seeing so many different types of salon business structures,
Yeah.
from more like a retail store in the front to no retail at all.
Yeah.
I'm curious well, maybe not how, but what would be your advice to the stylist slash salon owner that decided, I don't want to carry retail in my space and I don't want to deal with filling up my space with retail products. I don't know. They're especially suite salon owners. When I talk to suite stylists, I have heard and seen that that's fairly common to not carry any retail at all. And I beg to, it perplexes me because to me, I see it as a way that they could, ideally cover their rent or put it toward other
Mhm.
things that they would want for their business. So, especially when you're the only two hands covering that space, I would think that that would be the number one way that you could diversify or multiply even your income. So, have you talked to stylists like that, or salon owners that have a small boutique size space, or maybe they just have a retail, they have no retail or limited retail space?
Yeah. For me, it's not even a thought
Hmm.
ever. Like it's never been a thought because I cannot do my job without those products. And
Yeah.
if you've ever tried to do hair without any type of support, it's a disaster.
Hmm.
So I can't do my job. So that tells me that it has to be a part in my business. I personally believe that it is one of the financial legs of a business.
Hmm.
It has to be a financial component um, to achieve another level of success. The clients are purchasing it anyway.
Yeah.
And when you look at the support and what that retail is going to give you back, like you were saying, like it's an earning opportunity. It is like I look at the education that I've been able to provide for my team based on what we get back from the suppliers and from the brands as
Hmm.
far as like education support and just even like loyalty dollars and things like that. Like to me, it's just like, why would you not want that to be a piece of your business?
Right.
It's it seems crazy to me to not like to just sever that earning opportunity and that education opportunity. Education is what keeps us moving in this business for years and years and years. So in my mind, it just doesn't make sense because
Hmm.
there are so many valuable opportunities that come along with it.
Right.
Um, but it's got to connect. And I think when you connect it to, again, going back to like the core values, like what's important to you? Is education important to you? if it is, then the retail should be a connector in between like those pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you want to earn more money? Like it's another way to earn more money. It's not what it's all about, but it is another opportunity. So to me, I can't wrap my head around why you wouldn't want that to be a profit center in your business as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there are so many different ways to do it too. So I think it's really just like, again, that self-exploration of like, what is most important to me? What am I building? What am I creating here? But for me, it's just, I can't do my job without it. So why wouldn't it be
Right.
a component? But it's more than
What are your
one way.
what are your thoughts on e-commerce?
Uh, we did really well launching an online store. Strangely enough, I did it right before COVID. So I worked like the 75 days that we were closed. I worked every single day. We had to hire a delivery person. Um, it was crazy the amount of retail that was moving out of my salon. That was that showed me what the potential was. And that was really kind of that started the trajectory of this kind of journey for me because I saw the demand and people were just like chomping at the bit to get their products. So that really like that shone some light on like how valuable this corner of the business is. So I think it's a great opportunity. People want to shop online, so I think it's valuable. But the other side of the coin to that is that it's not something that you just launch and then it does what it like it doesn't just generate sales. And I kind of had that thought that I was like, oh, if I just launch this online store, it's just going to
Yeah.
be another center of income and it's just going to do its thing. But
Yeah.
it has to be fed, it has to be nurtured, it has to be it's like a plant. Like you have to keep feeding it and you have to keep caring for it. So if your business is moving in a direction where you want to grow, I think that's an incredible opportunity for growth. Can we support with like, or can we, you know, compete with Sephora and all the big box? No, but if we want to serve our clients in another route and in another way, it's definitely an opportunity. It just needs, it just needs to be like patted on the bum and cared for a little bit because it
Yeah.
doesn't just do its thing. But it's a great opportunity and we had great success with it. So I think for anyone who's looking for areas that they can grow in, it's definitely an angle.
For that nurturing side that you were speaking of, because I think sometimes it's really easy for us to have the idea before we construct the parts of how to make that idea come to fruition, just like you were
Mhm.
saying. So, what part of the nurturing process has really helped with driving those sales? Is it retargeting? Is it through email marketing? Is it through recommendations? Is there like an online portal that you recommend clients to go to reorder their products? Like, how have you found success within that? Just integrating e-commerce with your own in-person sales?
I think just talking about it with the customers and letting them know that we were doing that to support them better was great because realistically, our clients do want to support us. They
Yeah.
would rather purchase from us. They do want to buy from us. So giving them that opportunity, they saw that we were just trying to serve them better. Um, Email marketing, I think, is like we've got to think if social media disappeared tomorrow, how would we connect with our people?
Yeah,
So
right.
that was for me was like I was really focused on building that list and
Mhm.
building connection with people through that. We had a great open rate when we would do promotions, we would generate sales. Um, it was an interesting way to kind of like test the market and just see what was happening because when we would do something, something would happen. So whereas sometimes with social media, you throw something out and it's like crickets, right? So
Yeah.
it was a really great way to like kind of test and just see what was really happening. And I think my husband said this to me one time. I was really tired around Christmas time. And I was like, oh, I just don't want to do these Boxing Day like sales and promotions and all of these things. I was like, I'm just going to shut it down. I'm just going to take a breather. And he looked at me and he was like, Kristie, you have clients that are waiting to hear from you. You
Hmm.
have clients that are waiting for your sale. You have people that are checking their inboxes for your education, for your what you have to offer. Like you have people that are waiting for that. And I was like, oh gosh, okay. Well, I guess I better go sit down on my computer then and get this on the move. But you know, we forget that people do look forward to what we have to offer. And the more value that we place on ourselves, the more that we focus on giving value
Yeah.
to our customers, the more that they're going to appreciate it and value it too. So, yeah, that was a really good, it was a good little learning curve and just a good enlightening moment to just remember that when we're giving value, people do want it. They do want to receive that. So,
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. And I think it is easy to forget about those things or to get like 10 steps ahead instead of just focusing on the step that we're on.
yeah.
So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So I would love for you to share kind of a little snapshot of like what you're doing right now and what this is kind of evolving into, like what's next for you.
Oh, I have so many ideas. I wish I had the time to implement them all.
No, isn't that
Um,
it's so hard when like creatively and when something starts, it's just like you can't stop that ball from rolling. And it's just like,
yeah,
how do I kind of still do this and have autonomy in myself at the same time? So,
right.
but what are some
Being
things
a
that are kind of
visionary,
exciting you?
it's I am I'm so excited about just helping people to change the way that they think about retail in our business. Um,
Yeah.
it's such an important piece of the puzzle. I truly am so obsessed with this piece. Um, I love just helping people to just you see the light bulb come on and you see people shift. In salon programs are they are my like they have my heart. That's where I really love to be and that's where I thrive because I love the energy, I love the in-person connection, I love being in a room with people. I love facilitating like that. That's really where I thrive. So that's my number one. That's my golden child right now is my in-salon programs. But then I did find that I had a lot of people that were like, "Hey, we can't quite get you, like 17 hours of flight travel here very efficiently. Can you do something online?" So I do offer online programs as well, just to help to reach more people and just to help to kind of get that message spread a little bit further and a little bit wider. But that's kind of my mission right now is just helping salons and teams and stylists to just view retail in a different way because when we pull ourselves away from that and come out of like it's not about me, it is about the customer, it is about the client experience. There really is some like truly magical stuff that happens and it's a different level of connection, it's a different outcome. It's a
Yeah.
different level of pay for stylists. I've never really bought into the thing that like a hairdresser just earns 24 grand a year and that's where we stay because I think that this business offers so much more than we can even imagine.
Right.
Um, so that's kind of my mission right now is just like whether it's in person, online, this is a pain point in our business and I'm just ready to take it wherever it needs to go and just teach people that and share with people that it's it's so much bigger and ways that we can do that because the soft skills is really what needs some development in our business right now and it's changed a lot it's shifted a lot it's kind of going through a little bit of a bumpy stage but I think that when we refocus and kind of redefine what that looks like because yes it has changed is it going to go back to the way it was probably not but how can we redefine that to create success for ourselves in business and for our clients that's my I feel like my life mission right now.
Well, let's see if we can help you with your life mission a little bit more. So, where can I direct everyone to find more about your in-person and digital programs?
Instagram is where I love to hang out. I'm definitely overcoming my fear of putting more of that info out into the world. So there's a lot more coming. I'll be launching my fall dates pretty soon. So those are available for Canada and for the US. Um, but that's kind of where I like to live is there. I like the connection. I feel like I've built some of my most valuable relationships on Instagram. So lots of time there. And That's usually the best place to find me.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to link that in the show notes for those of you who are listening in. And Kristie, thank you so much for hanging out with us, sharing your knowledge. And I just love what you're doing, giving back to the industry and how you're showing up for this, because this is a piece and a component that I think has, been quietly sitting in the corner that's saying like, hello, I'm here to help you. So here I am. Let me help you.
Truly.
I want to continue, those of you who are listening, to dream big, set goals, and take action. And we will see you next week. Thank you.